Hi everyone, my name is Ivy Doomkitty and welcome to the So They Say You Shouldn't Cosplay panel. In light of recent things, we are bringing the panel to you from each one of our homes. And I wanted to get started off with first thanking all of our first responders, everyone in the front lines that's working to help fight what we're going through right now and that's risking their own lives to help our families, our friends, everybody out there in the community. So thank you first and foremost to all of you that are reaching out and doing that for us. So people, please stay safe, stay home so that they can come home too. That being said, this panel is geared towards helping you overcome any kind of obstacle you might face if you're not sure about why you should continue cosplaying. People are saying you shouldn't because of your body type, your skin color, your age, your size, if you have a disability, if you're in the LGBTQ community, any of those things. Hopefully by the end of this discussion, you'll hear so many different reasons as to why you can and should continue cosplaying by listening to some of our most amazing and very seasoned and well-known cosplayers within the community. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce some of our panelists. We've got David Baxter from Legion M, aka Larger Than Life Cosplay.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be speaking to you from the apocalypse. As Ivy said, thanks to the first responders. It's a crazy time, but I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you so much, David. And we also have Lucky Grimm.
Hi, greetings from Boston. Thanks to all of our amazing first responders, and a big shout out to the Boston Police Department, who's doing a great job. I love all those guys.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. Please stay safe out there. I know it's crazy out in Boston right now. Also also DPiddy. Hey, DPiddy, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Shout out to our first responders. We have one here as one of our panelists. Also, shout out to I have a lot of family and really close friends who are also in the medical field right now. So shout outs to all of them too. I've donated a couple of masks. If you have cosplayers, if you have time to make some masks or anything to help these people out, they are in need of materials and equipment and stuff, and so that'd be really cool. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and talk to you guys all about body positivity.
Awesome, thank you so much. And if anything, you're like the poster child for wearing masks all the time.
I've been prepared for years. So I've been prepared for years. I'm ready.
You were ready. And then we also have Michael Knightmage Wilson.
Hello all. Being a first responder, I just want to say thank you very much. That means a lot to me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my peers. But also, it's actually a privilege for us to be able to kind of take the reins and do what we have to do to protect you guys and ourselves. And yeah, we're in it together.
Seriously, thank you so much for what you do. And along with a lot of the things that we're facing today, a lot of either negativity, isolation, can get into our heads a lot. And with that, as it relates to cosplay, even though we're not going to conventions right now, people are still making their costumes and they're still trying to put their best foot forward. But more often than not, sometimes we get into our heads, people say things online or whatever, and it can be anything from, like I said earlier, where they're saying negative things about your body type, or your age, or skin color, so many different things. I know for myself, when I first started cosplaying, it'll be 7 or 8 years now, there really wasn't anyone that I could relate to or gravitate to that would really advocate for being plus size, for being a plus size cosplayer, for being able to be comfortable in my own skin. And that's something that really did negatively impact me and affect me, and it took a long time to kind of dig myself out of that and realize that I can cosplay and I can be confident. But before I go into that a little bit, I did want to hear from you guys. How did you guys get started in cosplay, and was that something that impacted you? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Hi, should I start? Hey, again, I'm David Baxter, and I'm the golden oldie amongst these groups. I'm 56 years old, and a big shout out to virtual WonderCon, by the way, guys. We all wish we were at WonderCon.
Oh yes.
Thank you for that. But so you can't tell from here, but I'm 6'8", and I was 6'8" at a pretty early age, and I felt very, very apart from everybody. And you know, the things that I liked, a lot of people didn't like. I was an early, 70s, and the one time that I kind of felt part of everything was Halloween. So I really got into doing really elaborate costumes from an early age, and my mother was an artist, and so she would help like sew costumes for me, and I was really into Planet of the Apes. So my first cosplay before the term cosplay existed was Cornelius from the Planet of the Apes, and I like spent I don't know how long I spent saving up money and like doing lawn work in order to buy this really, really cool full head mask. But yeah, that was sort of my first experiment with it. And then the next one was when it like went crazy, and that was during the time when Revenge of the Jedi. No, sorry, Return of the Jedi came out. Started off as Revenge of the Jedi. I put together. I was just graduating from high school. I put together like a Darth Vader costume with that old Ruby's helmet. It looked like I was wearing a pimple. It was really, really small. I was really big, and I put on my graduation gown and I got a garbage can, and I walked out of the car, and suddenly 2,000 people in line just went crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of like what it must feel like to be a movie star. And when I eventually moved to Hollywood, I went and put together another cheapo costume because I wanted to go and help out at the City of Hope in the Children's Hospital. And these guys came up to me, they're like, dude, you're the same height as Darth Vader, like the real Darth Vader. I'm like, yeah. I said, we can help you get like a movie accurate costume. And several $1,000s later, I was one of the very first Southern California 501st Vaders. And that's how I really came into it. I ended up being a Vader at the premiere of Attack of the Clones, and I've gotten to meet so many people, and cosplay totally changed my life. And it made me feel that I had a community when I really, felt apart. So yeah, it can really do good things.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. And it sounds like it just created so many wonderful memories for you as well.
Totally.
Being someone that iconic, that's surreal. That's amazing. And what about you, Lucky Grimm?
I got spoiled. I'm a third generation seamstress. I grew up, I think the earliest memory I have is falling asleep to my grandmother's sewing machine. She came to America with nothing but a sewing machine and the clothes on her back, and she sewed her jewelry into the lining of her coat, and that's how she bought her studio. And every summer from age 6 to 16, my parents shipped me off from our home country of Germany back to her place in Manhattan, and I schlepped in her shop my entire childhood. And my mom is an award-winning quilter. She teaches American historic quilting at William & Mary University now. She can sew circles around me. That says a lot. And I do this professionally now. My mom was into cosplay. She was one of the first Red Sonja cosplayers in the 70s. I still have pictures with her and Wendy Panini back in the day. And
pictures of your mom back in the day. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no, I have them from like the old sci-fi cons and Star Trek Las Vegas
Yep.
and Lord of the Rings London from like the 60s.
Wow.
Bananas. But that's back in the day when it was called costuming, because cosplay wasn't a word until like 20 years ago. And then I was the tiniest Starfleet captain for years and a hobbit. I had the best Halloween costumes of all the kids ever. And once I got out of college, I was like, oh, I can actually do this now. I just got into competing in cosplay, and that's pretty much been like my journey of cosplay as a competitive cosplayer.
That's amazing. And I've seen some of your work, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. You know, just to see your work, and then just every year just level up more and more and more. And it just fascinates me, the amount of detail that you put into your work and dedication to it.
Love about cosplay is like no matter where you get in skill level, there's always something new to learn. There's always something new to add to your arsenal. And that's not really cosplay per se, but that's the world of craft and the history of making and basically sewing and all these dead arts that are now coming back.
That's true. No, that's very true.
There's a real importance of an analog world because things got so digital. I think people got removed from that. And I agree that it's very, very important. You know,
Yeah.
the whole maker movement and what Adam Savage has been promoting is really interconnected with great cosplay. Yeah.
It's definitely opened up the world for so many people to jump in to cosplay for the first time and get their feet wet and realize that it is something that they can do. And that being said, one cosplayer that's been doing it for quite some time now has been DPiddy.
Hi. I've been going to conventions. I've been going to San Diego Comic-Con since like '97. No, I didn't know anything about cosplay. I would see cosplayers, and again, before the term cosplay was even known to everybody, it was just costumers. I would see a lot of Star Wars and some Indiana Jones and so forth. And then high school happened. I got into anime, and then my friends came to school with these pamphlets, and it was Anime Expo 2004, and I was like, oh, what is this? And they took pictures. They went on I think it was either Thursday or Friday, and they skipped class, and we met up at like the park, and they were showing me pictures in their cool digital Sony CyberShot camera. They were like, hey, check this out. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's they're dressed up as like Naruto characters. Like, yeah, that's so cool. And so we wanted to, as a group, to go to the next Anime Expo in costume, and so we planned this entire year to like dress up. And I think that it was Bleach. Bleach was like the big anime then, and so like we used we graduated that year, and so we used our graduation gowns as like the black, I don't know what you call it, the little gi or whatever, and so we makeshifted our costumes, and we cut like t-shirts up and whatever. We didn't know where to get fabric, so we just got like white t-shirts and we cut them up and we did stuff, and then I had a pretty good time. My first time cosplaying, but unfortunately there was I was Ichigo, and for those who don't know Ichigo, he has this bright orange hair, and he was the main character, and I wanted to be Ichigo. He was my favorite character. But at the time, I didn't know where to buy wigs. I didn't know how to do anything. And so I had a crew cut. I was bald. And my friends, we were walking around the convention, and they saw another Ichigo there who looked amazing. Everyone else looked amazing. I kind of half-assed my costume, but like I was having fun until they kind of left me. Like as a group, they went to this other Ichigo, and they kind of like stuck with him. And I kind of like tagged along because I'm like, oh, cool, he looks really cool, whatever. But it wasn't until after that weekend, everyone started posting pictures, like the group pictures, right? And I went on MySpace. I'm like, I can't wait to see the pictures and stuff. And then I was cropped out of all the pictures.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was cropped out of all the pictures. I got super discouraged. And my friends were like, you didn't look like Ichigo. And I'm like, but I had his sword and whatever. And so that kind of like really pushed me to like get into crafting because I didn't know anything. And then, I went on this, I don't know if the website's still around, but cosplay.com, and I went on different threads and I researched a whole bunch of stuff. And then I finally, my next costume was Zabuza, which is this character from Naruto, really huge sword. It's almost like Cloud's Buster sword, maybe bigger. And I made that, and I made my entire costume. And I went out and I looked super dope, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Zabuza, you look really cool," whatever. And that really encouraged me to like get into like the crafting and everything. And that I got super addicted into like making stuff. And so that's when I got hooked. But yeah, that's my origin story.
Wow, so you've come a long way. You turned that negativity into your fuel to just jump right in and keep going.
Yeah, it was really sad. Good thing I turned it like, because that's like an origin story of a supervillain, ended up kind of like becoming more of an anti-hero. But like, the friends leave him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get revenge." But I was like, I'll just make a costume.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's commendable. And then what about Knightmage? How'd you get started?
Yeah, so I started really in like 2012. Actually 2011. So I think pretty much all cosplayers can kind of like backtrack it to Halloween. They're like their love for Halloween. So 2011 Halloween, I wanted to be a Green Lantern for Halloween. And I knew of conventions, I knew of cosplaying kind of, but I never went. I just never had time or anything like that. So I would just go out to bars and stuff for Halloween. And so I wanted to be actually, my favorite Green Lantern is Guy Gardner. I know, it's crazy. But I didn't know if it was going to be socially acceptable for me to be Guy Gardner because traditionally he's a white guy. So my second favorite is Jon Stewart. So I decided to be Jon Stewart for Halloween. But that wasn't a costume you could just buy in Spirit Halloween or anything like that. So I had to try and make it. So my girlfriend and I, we very crudely sewed it together using some fabric from Joanne Fabrics and some Under Armour. And I went out to the bars, had a blast. And then a buddy of mine was doing a Relay for Life event, Cancer Walk. He said, "Hey, you have this superhero costume. Could you come and mingle with the crowd?" So yeah, so did that in the Green Lantern costume and had a blast. And after that, I got asked to do another charity event and another. So pretty much like all of 2012, that's all I was doing was just charity events. So I thought, okay, well, I'm really digging this. Maybe I should have some more costumes. So I ended up buying a Spider-Man costume. I ended up making a Batman costume, a Captain America. I never went to a convention. At the end of 2012, actually, I believe it was Eric Moran, Smoke. He messaged me. He was like, "Hey, have you ever been to a convention before? Why don't you come to one?" So I ended up going to Cincinnati Comic Expo at the end of 2012. And as soon as I walked on the floor, I was wearing Batman. It was like a whole new world opened up. I was like, I'm with my people. This is amazing. Like I felt so comfortable. It was absolutely amazing. So after that, I just decided to dive headfirst into crafting and going to like every convention I could go to. But specifically with the topic here is soon after that, I was doing a charity event, and it was a school event, and it was about 250 kids, and it was an anti-bullying event, and I wore Batman. And again, I was kind of apprehensive about wearing Batman because traditionally he's seen as a white guy. Well, after the event, about 2 weeks later, one of the teachers had called me and said, "Hey, the kids loved you. They're still talking about you, but there's one kid in particular that keeps talking about you." And he kept saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe Batman looked like me." Well, it was a predominantly white school, and it was this one black kid who just was focused on that. And I was like, Batman looks like me. I can be Batman now. it didn't hit me until then, like how much representation matters and how much what we do matters. Like, you know, we dress up and we have fun, but I honestly tell people that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter your following, someone is going to take notice of you. Like, you are influential. You are inspirational as someone. And it wasn't until then that it really hit me that, man, like I really can be anybody. Like, if this kid can see me and realize he can be Batman, that means that I can be anyone. And it's just gonna kind of cycle through.
That's
amazing.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. And I just feel like that's one of the best things about cosplay is the way that it's evolved, is that finally, you know, people don't feel like they have to look exactly like how a character is represented in any particular place. And I think that's had an, you know, impact, you know, even in comics, you know, things like Into the Spider-Verse, where you have Miles Morales. I mean, it's so important for kids when that's such a hard time during adolescence and stuff, and you're feeling so separate, to feel like there's somebody who understands you. And no, I think all the people who go out and cosplay and make these choices. I mean, I'm still, you know, I'm 6'8", but I still want to do cosplay as a hobbit. That's like my.
Do it.
Ivy's going to be Gandalf, and I'm going to be Bilbo. That's what
I already have the fabric and the hat.
Let's get going. Let's do it.
You know, something I always actually say with this is, like, you know, you take any character, you take Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the writer, the director, the actor, whoever it is that's, you know, doing Batman at the time, Batman has been seen 20,000 different ways. So cosplayers, we're artists and directors in our own right. We're bringing this, you know, character in our own vision. Cosplay is nothing more than your fan art of this character, and there's no wrong way to do fan art. So it's however you envision this character. You as this character, if you want to be a 6 foot, 245-pound hobbit, man, hey, who's to say on, you know, in your world that doesn't exist?
I'm gonna age myself so bad here. Letting the age cat out of the bag. So back in the 80s and like earlier, when the Berlin Wall was up, let's just leave that as a reference. We would go to conventions, and that's how people saw costuming and cosplay. Is they would make their own aliens. And at Star Trek Las Vegas every year, there were competitions for the creativity and how you transformed things. And that's how costuming and cosplay was seen. It wasn't a recreate this character verbatim. It was a your mind translates this into what you want it to be. And I'm really glad to see that coming back. Like that's how I was introduced to cosplay, and I'm really glad that it's coming back now so kids can see that their vision is valid.
I think you're scraping on your mic. You're getting a little bit of, but we still heard it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right in that. And it's crazy just to see, I mean, how far the community has come, how far people have grown and been able to really, what's the word? It's really just, you know, just be who you want to be and not care about what anyone else says about whatever character you want to be. And like what Knightmage had said, yeah, you are the director and creator of your own story. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And kind of going along that wavelength where you mentioned that when you had started cosplaying, you didn't really see like you were Batman, but and to that kid you were also Batman. You loved being represented. That's something that I honestly I identify with that kid, because I wish that I could have identified with somebody when I first started cosplaying, and I didn't have that. So I've been going to conventions since 2004, but never felt that I could cosplay because there just wasn't that representation out there. There wasn't anything that would validate me for me being Latina and being plus size that would say it's okay for you to cosplay who you want to because you can. So I didn't do it until 2012. And my biggest regret is not cosplaying sooner, because cosplay gave me the self-confidence that I have today. Cosplay gave me so many friends in the community that I never dreamed I would have had. Acquaintances, friends, amazing creatives in this community that are doing so many wonderful things. And if it wasn't for cosplay, I wouldn't have any of those things. I wouldn't know so many wonderful people in this community.
You know,
So,
I'm gonna say you shouldn't don't ever beat yourself up about that though, about not doing it sooner. You know, I see the vitriol online. You know, when we're at conventions, you know, you can connect with people. You can make that kind of connection. But sometimes online, people just rip into people, and it's really, I've seen friends literally brought to tears by comments because, you know, somebody's saying, oh, well, you're not that. It's like, I don't know how you deal with that. I mean, it's really scary.
The internet. Oh, go ahead. I'm
oh
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Also, the internet definitely can be ruthless, but the thing is about the cosplay community, honestly, is there's more good than anything else. You know, you have that one negative comment, and just like the floodgates, man, you got so many people coming in to defend you, and it is amazing. Like, you know, you do have the negative side of the internet and stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes when I post things on Imgur or just posting a photo, I'm kind of like, man, I'm gonna get torn to bits. But then I'm always surprised because, you know, there's always going to be that one negative comment, but man, there's 1,000 positive. And just as human, we kind of navigate towards that one negative, but we got to really train ourselves that 1,000 comments outweighs that one negative, you know?
Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, speaking on a lot of different characters that each of you have cosplayed, you have each cosplayed so many different diverse characters, from characters that are traditionally drawn with a specific body type or a skin color, a specific age, so many different things. Has there ever been an experience where you were cosplaying and it was negative, where, you know, it had to do with your body type, your age, skin color, anything like that, disability, LGBTQ, crossplay, or gender bends, where there was that negativity, but how were, and if so, how were each of you able to overcome that and, you know, make that into something positive in the future?
I would say, no, it's so weird with this. There's no way for us to like talk without, you know, I'd say for me, you know, with the height, I have chosen characters that are sort of larger than life, hence my name. And the only thing that's ever happened is, really for me, is potentially scaring people, because I don't think of myself as being, you know, really, really tall, because I'm the height I am. And as Darth Vader, I've definitely scared the heck out of a lot of kids. It's not what most people deal with. But for me, I don't ever want, you know, I don't want that. So I'm always trying, even as Vader, to be sort of the good Vader, the Vader who just figured out that it's okay to come to the light side. So I've been really lucky. And even though, you know, I'm older than a lot of cosplayers, I haven't really gotten beaten up on it. I've mostly seen other people get beat up, and so I've wanted to help them out any way I can.
And actually, one thing I did want to mention was with you, David, you've cosplayed a lot of different characters, specifically also a lot of mashups. where you've done a spin on your Colonel,
Well,
Colonel Sandor.
the Hound, about any.
The Hound, yeah.
Yeah, no mashups. You know what? It's interesting. I did get, I got some negative stuff about their because people are like, well, what the hell is that? Oh, sorry, I should have said hell. What the heck is that? And my feeling is, it's like if you don't know what it is, if you don't get it, well, then you're not in part of the club. So foo on you. Yeah, I did a Mad Max cosplay combo of the Hound, and I forgot what his name is. Joe, I think his name is something Imperator.
Mm-hmm.
That huge thing, and I did a Vader Hound, which was perfect because of the burned head. So yeah, I love mashups, and I think everybody should do them.
What about you, Lucky Grimm?
So I'm plus size. Not gonna hide it. I love cards and I hate cardio. And yeah, I've kind of just run the gamut of people saying, "Oh, you probably shouldn't do that. That character is really small, and you're not." I'm like, "Well, I also own a mirror." I'm also 99% spite motivated. So as soon as somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm just gonna be like, "Well, watch this. Hold my beer." I made Angela from Spawn in 2 weeks just because somebody said I couldn't do armor.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm only a sewing cosplayer. I was like, well, cool. Hold my beer. I've been plus size my whole life. So it's nothing anybody says online is going to beat what I say to myself in my own head. So get over it. And I've been a little quieter about this, but I am medically disabled. I have a severe form of epilepsy. I have myoclonic epilepsy. So it's a little bit different for me doing costumes. I have to be very careful. So I can't do any large builds that I have to be in for a long amount of time. I can only be in them for about 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take that into mind when I make anything. And being more open about it has led to more people being like, "Oh, I didn't know somebody like me that had medical disabilities was somebody in the cosplay world." And I'm like, I promise, we're all out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of each.
Wow. No, that's really great that you're sharing that as well. Yeah, because people can relate. People can relate, and it does resonate with others. And just like what you were talking about with also being plus size, that's something that I absolutely can relate with, because I hear that all the time. You can't cosplay this character because you're not thin enough, you're not this, you're not that, you're too big. Just don't bother. You're going to be the fat character.
People will only say "Hey, you should do this character." I'm like, "Oh, because she's the bigger character?" If I get told one more time, "Oh, can you do that one character from Overwatch, May, bye?" And I'm like, eat it.
I love your attitude. That's great.
I was like, I'm just gonna do Mercy just to spite you, and I did.
You did, and she's glorious, by the way.
300,000 rhinestones.
That's commitment too.
I got real high on glue.
And what about you, Knightmage? You've done so many different characters. What do you say when someone says you can't cosplay a female character? Because I know you've done Lara Croft, and then you've also done so many other characters that, like you said, with your Batman, are traditionally Caucasian characters. What do you say to people when they say that you shouldn't or that you can't?
Right. I honestly don't get that much now. So when I first started, I got a lot of, "Hey, can you do Luke Cage? Can you do Blade? Can you do, predominantly black characters?" To be honest with you, the same people who said that before has now said, "Hey, can you do Thor? Can you do Captain America? Can you do, basically it transformed into them wanting to see what they love brought to life, to just them realizing realizing I love creating, and so they trust me to bring their character to life in my vision, and they'll love it. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it's about transforming their views and what they love, not me conforming to try and do what they love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest, right now, I'm in a position where honestly, like that's my mentality is I want to show the world characters in a different light.
And you absolutely are. And, you know, I know a lot of you are involved in either charity work or, you know, going to conventions and just giving back to the community, whatever it may be. I absolutely love the fact that you're now using your platforms. All of you guys are using your platforms to either help creatives by, you know, showcasing your work or doing tutorials or, you know, doing like the hospital visits and things like that, where you're giving back, and I think that that's a beautiful thing, because it does inspire the younger generations and it does encourage them. And like you said with the Batman story, you know, it definitely does show that representation absolutely matters. You know, so I think that that's amazing and that's great. And we definitely, because all of you have been cosplaying for some time, you've definitely helped create this new world of cosplay where it is acceptable and accepted by all. And it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what your body type is. It doesn't matter if you're cosplaying this character or that character and you don't look it. The point is that, you know, what's in your heart? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you having fun? Do you like the aesthetic of it? And, you know, at the end of the day, it's cosplay, costume play. It's meant to be fun, you know, so we should never be taking ourselves so seriously as to say, you know, I can't cosplay that character because that's a dude and I'm a lady. You can cosplay whoever you want.
I distinctly remember at C2E2 one year, I was in this big competition that you were judging, and I did not win. And you were like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, dude, it's just cosplay. Let's go to the bar.
And we did.
And you're just like, that is a really great way to look at this. I'm like, I have a real job. Let's get drinks.
I think the funny thing actually sitting here like talking with you guys is we kind of all started around the same time, and I know for me personally, each one of you have been kind of an inspiration at some point. You know what I mean? And me starting to cosplay, and I don't know, it just seems like the entire community again. It's almost like a family reunion. And it's almost like a symbiote circle. Like it always comes around.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Feeling lovey. I'm feeling lovey.
Guys, I think
And it's
ending really soon.
yeah. So unfortunately, because we only have 40 minutes. On that note, I absolutely do feel love for all of you guys. Please give us your tags. Where can we all find you on social media really quickly?
LegionM.com or LTL Cosplay on Instagram. And love to see you there.
I'm Lucky Grimm on everything.
You could find me at youtube.com/DPiddy or DPiddy anywhere else, basically.
And Knightmage on Facebook and Knightmage1 on Instagram.
You can find me as Ivy Doomkitty on all social media outlets. And special thanks to WonderCon for still allowing us to do this panel from home, being able to give you guys content. Much love. Please stay safe. Wear your masks. Stay inside.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
Stay inside and cosplay.
Yes.
Build all the things.
Build all the things. You're like.